Good evening, everyone. It's Shamila Ramjawan coming to you from the Red Corner Chat. This evening, I get to speak to a real inspiration in South Africa, Dr. Eubulus Timothy, who is in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Dr. Timothy is a dental surgeon who has his own aesthetic dental studio. He's an educator, a mentor, award-winning filmmaker. He has served 3 by 2 terms as the vice chair and is currently the treasurer for the Writers Guild of South Africa. Hello, Dr. Timothy, how are you doing?
Hi, Shamila, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you so much for accepting and coming on the chat.
It's really a pleasure to be on your show. I really appreciated that you chosen me to be here. Thank you so much for that.
I love talking to people like you that are so humble. You know, I've asked so many celebrities in South Africa to come onto my chat show, and it's like, you know, they always have excuses. But with you, I just asked you and you said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, it was a pleasure.
Do you?
I always like, you know, carry on.
Yes, no, go for it.
No, I always believe that, you know, sharing as much as I can with everybody.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm sure tonight you're going to inspire a lot of people throughout the world. Dr. Timothy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Durban. I'm a city boy. That means I was born down the road at St. Aidan's Hospital, and I lived most of my life as a kid on Queen Street in Group Center. And so my world is extends north up to Umgeni River and south up to the Jambilo River, and then we have the toll gate, and that's our world. That's where I live in. So, and I always love my city. I think it's one of the best cities in the world. It's one of the most underrated cities in South Africa. We have the best weather, you know, compared to any of the major cities. You know, we have about 300 rain-free days, you know, sunny days. We can do things and spend things, and we're on the East Coast, and we have this beautiful light. And our city is really a melting pot of all different cultures from all over the world. You know, from the time 93 when Vasco da Gama came, or in the 1700s when Shaka Zulu's grandfather came, or when 1860 when we came, which I want to talk about a bit later on, and everybody else that came. The English came, and the Afrikaners came, and the Portuguese, and the Jews, and the Greeks, and the Italians, and we have this huge melting pot of culture in the city, and it's amazing that we live in such a vibrant and exciting city.
You know, you speak about South Africa with so much of passion. I can see it coming out of you. But you went to London when you were 16 years old to study.
Yes.
Take me through that journey.
Well, I fought with my mother so that I could go to England. And I went to do my O-levels, my A-levels in England. So I was there for almost 4 years. And I did a couple of months of law at Brunel University. Because I didn't want to come back, and they said, no, you got to come back, because they wanted me to go and study medicine, and I didn't want to do medicine. And so, and in those days, you know, it wasn't a thing about making movies or art. You know, you didn't go. You were either a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher. You know, and now later the teachers being replaced by engineers, but in general, it was. That's how it was. And so I went to London, and it was a brilliant place because I was introduced to English art, you know, the Tate Gallery and the theaters. And it so happened at that time, Ipi Tombi was there, the great South African musical. And I saw it about 20 times, I think, because I knew all the cast guys. And when I had to come back home, they used to come back home and come visit me. And it was amazing time in England. And London is still one of my favorite cities. I really love London. I think, yeah.
That sounds like such an interesting journey. And then you studied in India?
Yes, I studied in India. So, and then I ended up going to India to study dentistry. a friend of mine, my parents were on holiday, and one of their friends at the airport managed to actually tell them about dentistry in this place called Manipal. And then when that happened, I ended up going to Manipal to study dentistry, and was the best time of my life.
Yes, I can see more of your friends are joining the chat, which is great. I can see the support. Dr. Timothy, also you have a video to share from someone in Manipal, which is quite interesting and exciting as well for you, I think, from such a high-profile person. So do you want to share that now?
Yeah, will you allow me to?
Yes, sure, please.
All right. Okay, I think some people are trying to connect. Can you let them connect?
Yes, they're in. I think they're struggling to connect on their own, but you can share your screen.
Okay. Like I said, we have a large number of students in alumni in South Africa who are from Manipal. These are all doctors and dentists. And I see Anesh is there next to me, standing next to me, sitting next to me. That's Anesh, who's online at the moment. And the thing is that about this is that we have this ability. In Manipal, it was an amazing time that we were there. We had this really close-knit family. We all were there from all over the world to study. And even up to today, we are in contact with people from around the world, and we are so lucky that we have that. And I was.
There's no sound, Dr. Timothy.
Now?
No, there's still no sound from the video.
Oh, really? Oh, because I don't know. Sorry. But that's Ranjan Pai. His grandfather started. We'll go back. We can always go back later when we need to see something else. So his great-grandfather started Manipal University, and today it is one of the best universities in India. And we have over 150,000 doctors and dentists and engineers around the world. The CEO of Microsoft is from Manipal, and the CEO of Nokia is from Manipal, and professors and scientists around the world are from Manipal. So it's quite an exciting.
So where did your passion start in terms of movies and that industry? Because I know you went to LA on a 7-year sabbatical. Is that where it started?
Well, what happened was that I was 10 years old. My father bought me a camera, and that was it. And I started making movies, and I got my friends in Group Center to act in the movies, and I'll make movies and show it on the screen and get everybody together. And then, we get hooked into the movies, and the only thing we could do, the closest we could do, was to go and work in a film library. So after school, I had to go and work in a film library in town, and that's how I met Anand Singh and Sanjeev Singh, and, but my passion always was there, and always wanted to be, I always, had this creative, I guess, bug in me.
Do you maybe want to close your screen, because I don't think you can, the audience will be able to see us when we do the recording.
Oh, okay. I think can you close it?
I'm going to try. No, you will have to close it on your side.
Okay, let me.
Just, okay, I can.
Yeah, thanks. There you go.
There you go. Perfect. Okay. Yes, so you are involved in a lot of short series or short movies in South Africa, television shows, etc. Tell us about that, and maybe name some of them.
Well, I started when I got back from India, and I ended up in Cape Town in PE first. I got a job as a dentist in PE. You had to work for the government, and then I went to Cape Town, and then I met Sean Moodley. I met him in Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival, and Sean was the first Indian producer for television in South Africa. And he went on to become the founding chair of the National Film and Video Foundation, which is the operating body for film in this country up to today. And we became friends. And he used to have a show called EastNet on Essence on EastNet. And I used to produce all the stuff for him in Cape Town. And he taught me everything I know about television. He taught me. So I'm very, very grateful for him. So that's how I got involved, and then of course in Manipal we used to have these shows, these concerts, and all this sort of stuff. And then one of the things that I found that wasn't much offered in South Africa was how to be a performer. When Michael Jackson came, I remember it wasn't a performance. It was not about a person standing there and singing. He performed, and so I decided to start a small school. And one of my first students was Heinz Winkler, who went on to win SA Idols. And then Kim Engelbrecht worked with us. And then I decided to do a little talk show on SABC. And I needed somebody to do it with them. And I decided to use a friend of mine from church. And then he said, okay, I'll do it. And he finally did it. And that's Mark Watering. And today, he's a household name. And that's how then I said, okay, I want to do something more exciting. ETV started, and they say, what can you do? So I would like to do a show on Youth Day from Robben Island. And went to Centec, who controls the signals, and they said, it's impossible. It's never been done. No one has ever broadcasted live from Robben Island. And I said, no, come on, it's impossible. He says, no, it cannot be done. You want to do June 16th, that's in the middle of winter. The sea is very, very rough. You're not going to get a signal across. And I found a bunch of young kids in Joburg who said they can do it. And we did it. On June 16th, 1999, we broadcast live from Robben Island. It was the first ever live broadcast. And we did it from the mess hall where Mandela used to eat every day. And it was quite an experience living on the island for 4 days, working on the island. And it was fun, And then I went on to make Othello, which is Shakespeare's famous play. I set it in Cape Town, and I used Selo Makekenobe as Othello, and Iago was played by Hakim K. Kazim. Hakim now is well known, Pirates of the Caribbean and all these other Law and Order, all these shows that he's been in. And Selo, after playing in my movie, they saw it, and the Royal Shakespeare Company hired him to play Othello at Stratford-upon-Avon. And from there, it's all history. He went on to London to play Mufasa in Lion King, and then he went on to Broadway. So it was quite interesting, the journeys the people have taken with me,
Wonderful. So let's just stay in Cape Town. I know you're a lecturer at, is it UWC?
Yeah, I lecture in the postgraduate program on dental aesthetics at UWC, and I in facial aesthetics. So I teach the facial aesthetics workshop. I go up once a year. We didn't go this year because of COVID, because most of the students, they come from all over the world. That's a very, very popular program that UWC has in the dental part. So I quite enjoy that. And also lecture here. I train a lot of doctors in aesthetics. That's Botox, fillers, threads, and PRP, which is when we draw your own blood and we inject it into the skin to rejuvenate your skin. And from the aesthetics, especially using the Botox, I suddenly realized that a lot of people have something called bruxism. where they grind their teeth. And with that comes a whole lot of new things that we're finding now. So people have headaches, and they have shoulder pain, they have lower back pain, they have pain in their arms, numbness in the hands, they have pain in the legs, they have ringing in the ears, and dizziness, or they see auras ringing in the, all these sort of stuff, and it's all because they're grinding. And I've managed to create a treatment where we treat people for this now, and we're getting very, very good responses because it is stress-driven. Bruxism is stress-driven, and we live in a world today that is so stressful. We all the time we are struggling because of what is happening. We always hurry on the we're rushing. We got to go here, we got to go there, we got to do this, we got to do that. And then we worry about things. We worry about unnecessary things. A few years ago, no one ever worried about identity theft. Nobody cared, where's my cell phone? Where's my cell phone? And so we live in this stressful time. There's a lot of grief, a lot of loss, in the sense of marriages do not last that long anymore. When those things break down, people get stressed because it's loss, it's grief. Relationships break down all the time. Things are happening all the time. So when these things sort of happen, it is adding to this undying, non-stop stress that's in your body. And one of the ways manifest is for you to grind. And so, so I've been working on that.
So are people aware of it, when they grind their teeth? You say grind their teeth, right?
Yeah, they grind their teeth. So some people are aware of it. Some people, the muscles are you can see the bulging. A lot of the time they come and you see it, and you can look at the surfaces. And all they got to do is go to the dentist and ask them, listen, let's please check my mouth. And today it's so important to go for dental checkups. Especially with COVID. Now we know COVID runs havoc in the lungs, in the heart, in the brain by causing inflammation. And it's something that we've been hearing about. And when there's inflammation, certain things are released called cytokinins. And what COVID does, it makes the body release far more than necessary, and it's called a cytokinin storm. And that's what destroys the lungs. Now, when you have gingivitis, you have gum disease, cytokinins are also released into the body, into the mouth, and into the blood. And now what we're saying is that gum disease does not cause COVID. But if you have lung complications, if you have COVID and you got lung complications, by having gum disease, it may exacerbate the problem. It may make the problem worse. So we say, go and see your dentist, clean your teeth. Just go for a cleaning. We also now know that those germs, those bugs that cause gum disease are also going into the heart, going into the brain. Yeah. So it causes other implications. And all you got to do is just clean your teeth, twice a year.
Yes.
So that's the thing that we're trying to get people.
Yes, I'm so lucky. I have a dentist who's a neighbor. So every now and again, I get a reminder, you got to see us, because we go every six months. And my daughter and I, we actually just visited the dentist last week. So yes, I think it's very important, because you never know with the plaque that sits on your teeth and the cavities that you have until you go for your checkup.
Yes, that's true. And that's why it's important that we try to get as many people to understand a checkup. And then it saves so much of complications in the long run.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Timothy, your interesting movie, Deep End, take us through that and take us through the awards, because I know your daughter was a scriptwriter as well.
Yeah, my daughter helped me write the script. She did. And what had happened was that it took a long time for me to write the script, because it was based on an incident that happened with my father and my sister got married, and we were driving back to Cape Town, and middle of the night, I was driving, he was sleeping. Suddenly he got up and he screamed. And I said, what happened? He said, no. Chloe is married. The fact that my daughter my sister got married affected him. And that sort of always stayed in my mind. And deep end is a relationship between a father and a daughter. You know, what happens to a father when his daughter reaches a certain age? What happens to a daughter who is trying to please a father, but finds out that the things that she wants to do does not fit into his world? You know, and so we deal with that issue. And then also with a mother who gave up her career, her dreams, not a career, but her dreams for love. She fell in love, and so she got married, and so she gave up her dreams for her family. And she's an artist, and she loves to paint, but her family do not see that. They do not see who she is. And so many women who saw the movie would send me messages, oh my goodness, this is my story. The mother is me. My family love me, but they only see me as a mother and a wife. They do not see me as anything else. They do not see my art. They do not see my creativity. They do not see the things that I'm capable of. And that stuck with me. And so we're going to try, when things get better, to have an exhibition of some of these women. We've got like 5 or 6 of them already, whose work we're going to put in a proper museum so people can come and see it in exhibition hall.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that, and well done. How does it feel winning all these awards and accolades? Because I know just last week you got a Man of Substance 2020 Exemplary Lifetime Achievement Award during a virtual ceremony in Singapore.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it was. It was quite, I was very taken aback. You know, I'd been to Singapore a few times, and I was blessed in the sense that I'd been there the first time. I went to do a big production for the South African government, and I was one of the first people to actually do a production in the zoo. And the Singapore Zoo is very, very famous, and it's this massive zoo. And we did the 10 years of democracy celebration there. And so I've been there quite a few times. But then when Deep End got made, the people in Malaysia heard about it, and they wanted India, Vietnam, Singapore, and all to get involved. And so the people started following and seeing and noticing what I've been doing. And then suddenly I got this nomination. So I was very, very...
Congratulations. Well done. You make us proud. You're putting South Africa on the map.
Thank you.
So what is going through your mind right now?
Your next question.
You're so busy. You know, you've got so many things happening. You juggle tasks. I can't see you sitting idle. You know, you're a busybody. So what exactly is next for you? What's in the pipeline?
In the pipeline, well, at the moment, I was very, very fortunate to do something very. I seem to have lost you. Again, I would like to share the screen, and I'll show you something if I can.
Yes, sure.
So, out of the blue, without, you know, can you hear?
I can see it, but there's no sound.
No sound.
No sound. No.
No sound. So then this is, if you can't see, it doesn't matter. I'll just explain it.
Okay.
This is Vivaldi's 4 Seasons. And there's a company called Baroque 2000. They've asked me to come and do a little thing for them on Vivaldi in a time of COVID. And this is my interpretation of it.
It's such a pity there's no sound, but I think what we can do later, we can share the link, if it's okay with you.
Yeah. So So I'll take it off there again, and you can go back to the main screen.
Okay.
And so, so they asked me to do this, and so I said, fine. You know, I wouldn't mind, because he's the man who this is, Michelle, decided to do it, and I had a very good producer, Shamila Ramjawan, who was very willing. She tried to get on early on, and I see she can't. I've asked, I'll just try and send her a message that they can try and get on. And then what happened was that they gave me this idea and said, okay, what do you think? Can you do it? So I said, what do you want? He said, no, we just want a music video. So when I looked at the music and I read the libretto, and then Vivaldi wrote sonnets for each season. And then I started asking questions, and I asked the question. I said, you know, why is there a dog there? Why is the shepherd sleeping? Because according to the libretto, why is he sleeping? Why is the dog barking? Why is the thunderstorm? What is the danger that is coming? And so I interpreted it in terms of us in this time, of how this music plays out, and the danger of COVID that is coming. What happens to us in COVID, you know? And you see the journey of them from the time they start out till the time they actually die. And you see their tombs, you see their crosses, you know. And so it's just the interpretation of it. And when I did this, there was only one person that I wanted to please, and that was Vivaldi. But I was very, very fortunate to have a very good producer with me, and that was Shamila Ramjawan. And Sima brought so much creativity to this production, her knowledge and ability and foresight, and also ability to research and get into the details of things. So I must give a lot of credit to Sima for this production, because without her we couldn't have done what we've done with Vivaldi. 4 seasons, the spring in the time of COVID, but she brought this magic of being able to put things together, you know, in the farm shots and the animals and all that sort of stuff. So I was very, very, very blessed that she was able to do that for us. So sorry, I pressed the record by mistake, but it's not recording. So yeah, so I just wanted, you know, to do something different, and then I got a chance to do this. So we will release it soon. Not many people have actually seen it. So you are one of the few first people to see it.
Well, now it's going to be global, so a lot of people are going to see it.
So,
awesome, well done. Well, at least you kept busy during COVID as well. So what are you working on now, or what's next?
We're working on, from the point of view of the art side, we're working on a movie called Cane Cutters. So this is a love story that spans over 100 years. It's about 2 people who came on the last ship to South Africa from India, and they fell in love and they got split. And now, over 100 years later, their great-grandchildren find each other. And wow. In the meantime, we tell the story of who we are. And we have real people in it, you know, like Devi Rajab and Ronnie Govender and Sam Ramsamy. We're talking about who we are as people. What have we done? And if you look and you see, 1860, we just celebrated it now. And I was very, very disappointed in the sense that nobody even knew that November 16th was 160 years since the arrival of the first Indians as indenture. Now, we know Indians came some time ago in the 1600s as slaves in the Cape, but they came as slaves. This was indenture. And in indenture, they came to work the land. They were lied to. It was horrible. They had so much of suffering, a lot of suicides. Do you know at that time, between 1860 and 1870, the most suicides in the world was in the Indians in the indentures field of Durban.
Wow.
That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. And but within 2 generations, we became professionals. Within 3 generations, we became captains of industry, all on our own strength, without the support of the government or anybody else, all on our own strength. We became who we are today. And the problem is that since then, we have lost the plot. We've forgotten who we are. We have almost, become so inclusive that nobody even knows we exist anymore. And that is the sad thing about who we are as a nation, as a community. And we need to stand up. We need to rise as a community and say, it's not a political organization. We're not into politics. We're just talking about unification of the Indians. If you look at the Zulu nation, it's made up of a lot of tribes and clans, right? The Zulus are only one of them. There's the Mhlongos, the Sibisis, the Buthelezis, they're all different clans and tribes, but they all call themselves Zulus because they've come together. We are we are South Africans of Indian origin. Mm-hmm. And we can argue as much as we want. Well, we are South Africans. First and foremost, we are South Africans. We are so different from any of the other Indians. When you go around the world and you meet the other Indians, we are different in the way we are, the way we behave, the way we think, the way we speak. Our knowledge of the English language, our ability to stand and speak, especially women. Our women are strong, powerful women. If you look at our women, how they are, always, you'd be surprised. And even at the very beginning, we saw these women, including Valyama, who stood up and was counted and made a difference. And so we tend to forget that by trying to pretend, no one says that we are not South Africans, but admit who we are. There's a Jewish center here, the Holocaust Center, which celebrates the lives of all the Jews who died in the Holocaust. So why can't we have our own center to celebrate the lives of all the people that have come before us? We stand on the shoulders of those that came before us. And those are coming after we are gone are going to stand on our shoulders. But are there any shoulders to stand on? So that's what it is. And that's what's important of who we are, and why we should stand up for who we, and not become political, but just say, hey, you know what? We should be proud of who we are and what we went through, that we today can be. I mean, if you look at us in politics, I mean, in Mandela's government, how many Indians were ministers? That shows the value of what we bring to this country. And this is our country.
Yes.
We don't have any other country. If they kick us out, we're going to end up in the Indian Ocean. We can't go back to India. We have no, it's not our country. We can't go anywhere else. This is our country. And this belongs to us, and we've got to remember that. We should be proud of being South Africans.
Yes, no, we're very proud of being South African, and we're also very proud of people like you that actually get us noticed as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Talking about Indians, there were a lot of Durban-based Indians that came up with movies last year. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, well, somebody from the University of Pretoria contacted me and asked me, what are my thoughts on couldn't see something. What are my thoughts on Deep End, and how do I see Deep End in terms of the greater scheme of things in South African film? And it just so happened that in 2019, there were 5 to 6 movies that were made. In my opinion, I consider my film what I call avocado bioscope. That's my term. Avocado bioscope. And if you know, avocado is avocado pear. Avocado pear, we call it avocado pear. So I call it avocado bioscope because that's what we call movies, bioscope. Yes. And what does that mean? It is Durban Indian stories that are told using professional and non-professional actors, and that do not conform to the normal South African or Bollywood style of filmmaking. So if we look at our films, we're not like the normal South African films, nor are we like the Bollywood films. We are very unusual, very different. There were these types of movements. There was the French New Wave that happened in the 1950s. The same thing in 1950s happened in Italy with the Italian change in cinema, when Eduardo De Filippi and all these people started making movies telling normal stories. And that's what made Sophia Loren who she was, by acting as, you know, in all these movies. So I look at as the first step in that direction. I look at it as the first step in that direction. I really believe that it was, we are starting onto something that's different. And I'm hoping that with time, it will get better. Our movies will get better. Our ideas will get different. You know, movies is a very, very modern concept. You know, the first movie was made in 1894. You know, that was in the US. And in the same time, the same year, the Lumiere brothers made movies in France. And Dickerson was the assistant who created the 35mm format. And he came to South Africa in 1899 to record the Boer War, and he stayed. So we have been having movies in South Africa from almost a few years after it happened in the rest of the world. So we've had the first cinema building was called the Electric Theatre, and it was in the corner of Grey Street and what's it? Not Alleyway Street, Grey Street and Alice Street. That was the first cinema to allow people of color to go in. It was called Electric Cinema, and it was 1910.
Wow.
And so you see, we in Durban have got a long history of cinema. You know, we grew up with cinema. And so, you know, the fact that we should be producing should have happened a long, long time ago. The South African film industry is one of the oldest in the world. You know, we have lots of films, of course. You know, the Boer War, the first war to be filmed ever, and then after that they used it as propaganda, and that whole propaganda movie started coming out. It came out of South Africa, and so, you know, we have a long history, and so why can't we, the Indian community, as well, have that history? And the fact that it took us so long, but then it is flourishing. You know, I think Kandasamis are making the third one now, which is fantastic. And I think the Red Room guys are making a movie. I think you were in that movie, right?
Yes. Who's My Daddy?
Yeah. So they're making a movie. We are putting something together. There's a whole lot of other guys who are making movies, and so it's starting to blossom. And it's going to take a couple of movies. It's going to take a couple of years, and it will happen. You know, because cinema is such an amazing art form, and the rules are very, very simple, and it's simple for all over the world. It's based on the Greek storytelling, the 5-act play. In the beginning, in the old days, the Hollywood movies were long, like the Bollywood movies, and they were 5 acts. Now they don't have 5 acts anymore; they have 3 acts. But Bollywood still has 5 acts. That's why it's so long. It's 2.5, 3 hours. And so the English movies that we watch, and the movies that were made in Durban by the Indians, were made in in Hollywood style of the 3-act play and 3-act screenplay. So we have this knowledge of how to make movies and what to do and why we do it, and we follow it. And, you know, it's easy. You know, there are 2 terms that we use in cinema that captures the very essence of everything that we make. And I don't know if you watch Deep End, and you see that we use that. One is called chiaroscuro, which is Italian, and it means light and dark. Chiara is light, scuso is dark. Chiara scuso. And what it means is how you use light and dark to tell a story. Where is the first question that you ask is, where is the light coming from in that room or in that space? And then you light the face accordingly. And then if somebody is sad, they're going to the darkness, or if they're hiding, they're going to the dark. And when they're happy, they're coming. Oh, and that's the sort of thing, how you use light to tell and darkness to tell a story. And you see it almost everywhere, and we try to use it. And what we have to do is that when I studied directing and screenwriting and cinematography in Hollywood, I have a diploma in both. We had to study Baroque paintings and Renaissance paintings. And if you look at all the paintings in the world, until you get to the Baroque and the Renaissance, you do not see light and shade. You do not see light and shade. I wish I could show you that right now, because it's very interesting. And the question we ask is, where's the light coming from? And that's what we try to do with DPN. Where's the light coming from, and how the light affects the characters. And then the other thing is called mise en scène, which is a French term. It is the business of the scene. And so the light happens behind the lens, and mise en scène happens in front of the lens. So everything that happens in front of the lens has a reason. So what is the business of the scene? Why is that cup there? Because if that cup does not have any business to be there, it's going to distract the audience. If there's a knife on the table, is she going to take the knife and cut the bread, or she's going to stab the person? So these are the questions that you ask in your mind. And so what happens is that when people put things into the scene and you don't know why it's there, it affects the brain. And so when the scene changes, the audience gets taken out of the film. And then the first thing the audience does is that they pick up the phone and they start browsing. So they lost the person by distracting them with unnecessary things, with clutter. So everything is an element. The color of the dress, the color of the wall. Why is it that? Why is the pot there? Why is this there? Everything we ask, why? And they're called elements, including the actor. Why is the actor's hair that color? Why is the actor's dress that color? Why is the actor's shoes that color? Everything adds. And then we have a color palette in telling stories, in that what are the safe colors of the main character? Or what are the danger colors? What are the happy colors? What are the sad colors? What are the neutral colors? And then we use that. In Deep End, her safe color was blue. So whenever you see her in a blue outfit, when there was danger, the bad girl was in red, so the danger colors. And so green was the safe color, space. And so we use colors and textures in how we tell the story. So everything is just not, okay, stand in front there and say your lines. It's in our form.
That is so interesting. I could go on listening to you all night because you just pick up so many things that you don't really know. You act in a movie and you don't know why you're doing it, or you don't know what the elements are around you. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. Just talking about movies now, you are busy with Cane Cutters. Are there any other movies in the pipeline that you're thinking of, or that you're going to surprise us with?
The thing is that there is a famous British playwright called John Osborne. He's dead now, but he wrote quite a few plays, but his two most famous plays, if you study English literature anywhere in the world, you would do John Osborne. And his two most famous plays are The Entertainer, which was made into a movie, and Laurence Olivier got an Oscar for it. And then the next movie was called Look Back in Anger, and Richard Burton got a Golden Globe for that. And so if you look and you see these movies, and they are amazing pieces of work. I mean, Richard Burton as Stanley in Look Back in Anger, and Laurence Olivier. And I saw recently, The Entertainer again with Kenneth Branagh on stage. And in fact, the reason I'll tell you why. And what had happened was that I was asked if I would like to remake Look Back in Anger.
Wow.
And And I said, yes. And so I am now making Look Back in Anger. And my friend Linda is on. I'm trying to say hi, Linda. From San Francisco. So I'm making Look Back in Anger. So when I got the rights to do it, I told them on one condition, that I have total rights to the way I want to tell the story. So now I'm setting, you see, Look Back in Anger is about the angry young man. And it's so prevalent today in the world that people are angry. They're angry for a whole lot of reasons. And this anger comes from things are not the way they thought it's going to be. They didn't think that 2020 will be like, and he's angry. And so what he does is he marries this rich girl, upper class girl, and he takes all his frustrations out in her, and so this is the story of how two people in a relationship cope with change and class. And so I said, I want to set it in Phoenix. So they give me that permission to do whatever. So I'm rewriting it at the moment. So it's set, and of course he marries a rich white girl from Hillcrest. So it's class. It's not race. It's class. So we're playing the class because always it's about class. Sometimes we get caught up with race, but it's about the class. And the clash of the classes is always happening, especially even in families. In families, and you see where the rich class and the poor class in the family, and they clash. One brother is wealthy and the other brother is not, and one sister married a rich person and one sister didn't, or one gets to a good school and the other one doesn't, and these class issues clash. And to deal with it in a very succinct way, to tell the story that needs to be told. And I'm very excited about that as well. But casting is going to be a problem. And that is another thing. We do not have a lot of talent in Durban because all the good talent has gone away to Joburg. And
well,
so
look at Joburg because we're available.
So but we want to build local talent. We want to build local talent. So we're looking at people that we can empower locally. So that's what it is.
That's wonderful. Well, good luck with that. I'm sure, everything that you touch turns to gold anyway.
Thank you. From your mouth to God's ears.
Dr. Timothy, you're into aesthetics, and I think that's your passion right now. That's driving you every day, because I think every woman wants to look good and feel good. And I think the men are even following now. So just maybe take us through a bit about aging and your involvement. What do you see like on a daily basis? Because I mean, I feel sometimes I need to have some fillers and Botox and whatever, So, how would you assess the person? I have to come to you, right? How would you assess me? Would you say that I need something done?
Well, aesthetics now is the big thing, except for the mask. So, so the mask has covered a lot of the face. My friend Nicola Rowley is on as well. I want to say hi to Nicola. And Nicola is in London. And she and I go a long way back, and when we were frolicking in Cape Town. Hi, Nicola. So aesthetics, facial aesthetics is a big business now, But the most important thing is that it does not make you look young, and this is where people get it wrong. It's supposed to enhance you and supposed to make you look fresher. If you do not look fresher and you look anything else, then there is a problem. It's not being done properly. And the one thing that I pride myself is that most of my patients do not tell anybody else that they do aesthetics. Not even their spouses. I've got men who don't tell their wives and wives who don't tell their husbands.
Why?
Because they don't want anyone to know.
But why?
Because that's how it is. Because they look so good and they don't look like they had work done.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. You see, and another quite a well-known person, a patient of mine, and she she's sitting at this big function, and all these women are talking about the Botox, they've done this and the Botox, and they turned on to her and said, oh, well, you're lucky, you don't need that. And she just smiled to herself. You see, so that is the type of work I would do. I'd make it that it looks natural. What we do is enhance the face and the body, and it's a mindset. You take away too much. You know, what is the definition of a smile? A real smile, you know, and there's this test that you do, is that the zygomatic muscle, this muscle has to pull the lips up, the cheek, and you got to squint your eyes, and your cheek has to lift. That's when you're really smiling. And if you diminish that, you don't look real.
Okay.
You know, your smile looks.
Yeah.
It looks plastic.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I've had this from the time I was born. You know, these high cheekbones that go up right there. But I see now people are paying to get this.
Yeah. So, well, you know, the thing is that there's a difference. There's Botox, which is a toxin. We call it a neurotoxin. Botox works on muscles. It only works on muscles. It doesn't work on anything else. Okay, muscles and glands, somatic glands, sweat glands to be exact. So people also put it in the arms because during summer they sweat a lot, and you see these people have those patches and damages their clothes. So they come in and they get Botox in their arms. But what Botox also does is that it relaxes the muscle. That's all it does. It relaxes the muscle. So if you give it around the eyes, it will relax the muscles and it prevent the creasing of the eyes. So you stop the creasing. If you frown a lot, so we inject you here, but then it prevent you from frowning. Okay?
Yes, I've got that big frown as well.
And then if you do it on your forehead, then it takes away the lines there. So, a lot of the time we do it on the chin, because then the chin turns up, you know, the witch's chin. So we drop the chin down. Okay, so that's what Botox does. And then we also put on the neck. So, you know, because when you paralyze one set of muscles, you know, people when you got turtleneck, like I do.
The double chin?
So not, well, no, the neck, you know, this extra skin. So we put it here, and then these muscles then kick in, and you see what happens? It smoothens itself out. So we play muscles against each other. That's what Botox does, if you do it properly. Okay. We can also put it at the bottom of the tin of the nose and picks up the nose. Now, filler, on the other hand, is what, as the word says, it fills what is being lost. When you age, certain things happen. When certain things happen when you age, and you look at your young picture and you look at your old picture, your eyebrows become flat. You don't have the 2/3 and 1/3 because your body is in proportion. Okay, your sockets become bigger, so fat starts coming out. Okay, your muscle drops in and goes backward. And when that happens, when it goes backward, then the face starts to droop. So all these sort of things that happen, you see? So that's what happens with fillers. So now we try to lift. So we use the filler in certain places to lift here, you know? We put it in the lip to redefine your Cupid's bow, to bring back your fulcrums. So you have your dimple. And as you get older, your lips are no more 1/3 to 2/3, 1/3 to 2/3. You change that proportion, you got a bad job of fillers. So it has to be 1/3 to 2/3. That's the proportion. That's the golden proportion. Everything is 1/3 to 2/3. From there to there, from there to there is 1/3 to 2/3. From there to there, it's all 1/3 to 2/3. Everything is 1/3 to 2/3. Proportions, and that's how the body works. And so we have to keep the proportions. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. You change this, your face becomes square. And that's because of grinding. So when now we treat you, we increase your vertical height, your face becomes heart shaped back again. So these are the things that we do with fillers and how you use fillers. We also have, you know, I've now worked on something that called lipolytic injections, where we can dissolve fat in the face, give it reshape in the chin, things like that. then for skin, that when your skin is bad, then we draw your blood and we inject it into the skin. It's called PRP, where we trying to rejuvenate the skin. So these are the things that can be done, and of course threads, which then help support. They're called PDOs, and they act as support. And then along the line, where you put the threads in, over time, collagen fibers start to form, and that acts as a support structure. Because with age, as the maxilla gets smaller and goes backward, everything goes. The face stays the same size. It's the support structure underneath that changes. It's like a beach ball. As the air of the beach ball comes out, what happens to it? It starts to get wrinkly.
Yes.
Right? It's the same size. The face is exactly the same size. So when you do facelift and they tighten everything, suddenly you don't look quite normal because your proportions are now gone. Compared to your head, to your shoulders, it looks something off. And that's because you made your face smaller than what it should be, because you tightened your skin. See?
Yeah.
So it's about proportions.
Yes, I'm actually very scared about it. But if you're going to do the natural thing, then I'm definitely going to see you, because I'm really scared. Because if you see some of the people that walk around, where they have these really huge lips, and it's like Botox gone wrong or fillers gone wrong.
Fillers gone wrong. Yeah. Well, the duck lips are normally fillers gone wrong, or they ask for it. They ask for it, and I normally chase them away. I rather not take the money. I mean, there are people I would not, try and stand too close to, because someone thinks that I did that bad lip job. So and you see them, and you see them no more walking with these. Well, hopefully now we don't, because they got the masks on. Which is very good. So.
Yes, but for something like under the eyes, is that are those fillers? I know I need sleep. A lot of people say no, you need to sleep, because that's why I have these hollows. But is that something? Is it a delicate area, or is it something that can be filled?
Well, the under the eyes is the most delicate area of the face. It's less than 0.3 of a millimeter thick. That's how thin the skin is. It's almost translucent. What blueness you're seeing is the color of your muscle. The oculi muscle, which is a large muscle around the eye, is bluish in color. And the thinner your skin, the easier you see that. So it doesn't matter what you do and how you inject, it doesn't take away the color. And that always comes through. So yes, we do put filler under the eye to support if there's a loss of volume. But if you got fat that's coming out, you can't put filler, because then it looks like 2 rolls you got. And that
no.
doesn't look good.
No. So just make it worse.
But talking about sleep, we now know, people say, oh, well, I only sleep 5 hours, 4 hours. I was like that. Only sleep 4 hours, 5 hours. We don't sleep a lot. I don't need to sleep a lot. I'll tell you something, you need sleep. And it's important that you get 8 hours of sleep a day, because the body needs to sleep. Harvard University did research on the activities of the brain with their students, and they wanted to find out who and how it works. And so they did a test, and they found out that that when do you think the brain is the least active? When do you think so? Least active?
I think when you sleep.
It's when you lecture.
Oh, okay.
And then they found out that
the
second least active time of the brain is when they're watching television. But the most active time is when you're sleeping. There are things called sleep spindles. These are spikes in the electrical activity of the brain. What happens is that when you sleep, and when you reach a certain level of deep sleep, is that your brain starts doing housekeeping. It starts clearing up the whole day's events. So it relives everything that you had gone through, and it starts packing it. Everything stays initially in the hypothalamus, which is right at the bottom here, and then from there it starts putting it into the cortex, into memory, long-term memory, short-term memory. It starts sorting things out. Now, if you have a Windows computer and you keep all your programs open, and you keep it on open for days and days, what happens? The program, the computer gets slower and slower because there's too much of information on your RAM. So the hypothalamus serves like a RAM in the computer. So it needs to discharge all that information.
Sure.
And that's what sleep does. And
Wow.
that's why it's so important that we sleep, because it helps rejuvenate us. It really does. It's amazing, you know, that we're now learning all these things, you know, and also, we're learning about how the brain works. And we were told that when we were kids, that the brain stops growing at the age of 15. You know, it can only get damaged due to disease or injury. Now we know the brain grows all the time. And they did an experiment in London with the London taxi drivers, and they put a big button on the dashboard and said, every time you pick up a passenger, press it with your left forefinger. And they kept doing it. And after a couple of months, they got all these taxi drivers in, and they did MRIs of the brain. And in the frontal cortex, there's the area which controls the whole body. And they found that part that deals with this left finger started to get bigger. What it meant that it started to get more and more these little fine dendrites. Like, you know, when you pull out a tree, a small tree, and you see all the fine roots, those roots were starting to get longer and longer. And when they stopped working, they continued taking MRIs, and they found out that this is getting smaller and smaller. So by stimulating, they found out it increases your brain. So they tell you when you're in your 50s, you should start maybe learning to paint or learn to play an instrument, because they need to increase your brain to prevent you from Alzheimer's and all the other diseases that affect your brain. So that you can actually rejuvenate your brain. You can refill it, and that's what we need to do. And it's important that we understand that how the brain works. And do you know that the brain is the only entity in the whole universe that has the ability to study itself?
Wow. Okay.
Can you think of anything else?
No.
Can you think of your dog's brain? Can your dog do that? Can your dog say, okay, I'm going to get up today, I'm going to study how my brain works? No. You know, none of the other animals can do that. They learn from experience, but our brain has the ability to study itself. It gets up and says, I'm going to study the left toe, find out how the toe works. We can go into detail and find out all the anatomy, the physiology, the biochemistry of how the toe works and how the body works. And the brain is the only thing, entity in the whole universe that can do that. No other entity that we know of that has that ability to study itself, to record what it studies, and then to keep that for posterity, for those who are coming after us. And that's what it is. Because our dogs can't write a book and say, okay, don't go near that tree because there's electric fence there. And so he tells everybody else, no, can't do that. But we can, and we have that ability. And that's what it is. And that's why it's so important that we look after ourselves. We look after our brain. We look after our bodies. You know, a lot of our friends and who are struggling, and it's difficult, especially in this time. There's so much of things that we take for granted that we shouldn't be, especially in time of COVID. And people are stressing about work, about finances, about family, about life and death, and they don't know how to deal with it. And we do not have the tools to deal with it because we've never experienced this. So we need to take time. So I have three things that I always say, if we're coming to the end. So three things I like to share. That's that. One is rest. That's the body. You've got to give the body rest. And so you've got to make sure you sleep. And two is that your soul. So you refresh yourself. You refresh yourself by spending time doing nothing, by chilling. Now, there's a saying in the Bible that God created the heaven and the earth, and on the 6 days he created, and the 7th day he rested. Right? He's God. Why did he rest? He didn't need to rest. But it was an example for us that we should be resting. We should take a day off to do nothing, to chill. The Jews do it, you know, on the Shabbat. They do not do anything. They do not cook. They do not do anything on that day. And that's what it is. That's what it means. That's how we should be, to refresh. And then the last thing is to renew your spirit. This is where I say, surround yourself with beauty, with art, with music. Go to a museum, look at it, or go online to a museum. Look at what these painters are doing. Look at the trees. Go for a walk and study the trees. You know, take your camera and take pictures of the clouds. Just pictures of clouds. Every day there's clouds there. If there's no clouds, take a picture of the sky. And you will see, and then you come back and you look at that, you know, and then play music. If you can't play, listen to music. I don't care whether it's Led Zeppelin or classical music or Bollywood music or Carnatic music, whatever music it is, listen to music. Rejuvenate your spirit, you know. So it's a body, soul, and spirit. If we can understand that and always remember that, you know, things are difficult. And then we look at each other and we say, I can't understand. You know what? I try so hard. I do everything that's required of me. I work hard, but I'm still struggling. I'm still not getting there. I don't understand why, you know, and that gets people down. And then they look at other people and say, oh, look how well they're doing. Look how wonderful they are living. But they're showing us what they want us to see. And social media lies to us, because social media shares with us what we want others to be shared with. And that's what it is. And so we see the car and we see this and we see that, and we covet that. That's why I said, do not covet what your neighbor has got, but do not lose your power. You know, if you watch the Avengers, you know, when everyone tried to pick up Thor's hammer, you know, yet they all got superpowers. So know what your superpower is. We all have superpowers. We all have the power within us. What is your superpower? Find that, use that. Do not covet your neighbors. Do not try and get what he's got or she's got. Do not try to be like them. You know, try to understand. Yeah, be yourself. Now, I also learned something new called, you know, own your own truth. I don't understand what that means. There's only one type of truth. Did we lose signal?
No, I'm here.
Are you there? Okay. So there's only one type of truth, and truth is absolute. You know, do not try to make it your own version. Then you are distorting reality. And we live in a time where everything we do in the past defines who we are in the present, because and the future, because of the algorithms of social media. You by chance go and look for something on the internet. Every time you open up your computer, it goes to the same thing. It starts showing you, right? It is pushing you in a different direction. It's pushing you in a direction of where you were thinking in your past. Beware of that. Do not let your past define your future.
Yes.
Because the algorithms are written, because the algorithms that are operating every single day in everything we do is doing that. In machine learning, it's exactly what it does. It is where the machines are trying to learn from the data of the patterns that we have, the patterns and the structures that we are trying to do, the information, and project what can happen without data. So they're trying to project. Do not fall into machine learning. Do not let data project who you are. You know, and so it's very important that we understand that. So
awesome. Wow. Very interesting. This entire conversation was so interesting. But just, I'm going to give you a double barrel question now, or just something that I want to know about you is what motivates you and what is exciting you at the moment?
What motivates me is being alive, I think. I live every day as though it's the last day of my life. And I have no fear of death. I've had a near-death experience. I've died and I come back, so I understand that it's there.
Please share
And
that,
it's
because
real.
I'm so sorry to cut you off there, but please share that experience, because I saw on your social media. Maybe just share a little bit about that, that shock that you had.
Well, on the 22nd of October, 2016, got up early in the morning, like about 4 o'clock, with this funny like heartburn. And then I went to drink some water in the kitchen. Then I knew something was wrong, and it was quite, it was strange. And I knew at that point, I saw the light. I saw this white cloud that was coming towards me, and I knew that I was dying. I prayed, and I was gone. I shouted out, and I was gone. And it was the most peaceful, the most amazing experience I've ever had. It's just peace. Then it got me up, and then I went to the hospital. My heart rate was at 29, and then they put a stent in, and they couldn't understand because I don't have diabetes or heart problems. No one in my family has any predisposing factors. I go to the gym. I was before the COVID, try to eat healthy, no sugars, things like that. And the doctor couldn't find out why. So it's stress. It's stress. And that night in the ICU, everybody died. And there was one American woman on the other end. It was just the two of us who survived that night. And there was no fear when everybody died. Never had any fear at all. So I realized that it was an amazing experience. And so I have no fear of death. And so every day I live as though it's the last day of my life. And I try to do impact as much as possible. I try to do as much good as possible. And it's the smallest things now that matters, especially in the time of COVID. And I tell my friends and I tell everybody, you go into the supermarket, buy the car guard a loaf of bread or a carton of milk and give it to them, rather than giving them a rand. Give somebody something, just for no other reason, that you can. And I try to do little things for no other reason other than because I can. And so life is not easy. Life is never easy. It looks easy. It looks fun. You see the social media and you see this. I always say my social media page is no reflection of who I am. And I do not go out a lot. I do not have a lot of friends. Anesh is one of them. In fact, my friends were online, and I saw that Seema also tried to reach out, but she couldn't get in. So these are the people, that I have. Very few people that I have friends, and so I suggest that live each day as though it's the last day. Because the Mexicans have a term called mañana. Mañana means not today. It does not mean tomorrow. It does not mean the next day, but definitely not today. I try not to leave anything for tomorrow. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes things get you down, and we all have things that bring us down. And but I try not to leave things till tomorrow, because tomorrow may never come.
Yes.
And I always try to fix things today. If you do something wrong, apologize. It doesn't hurt.
Yes.
It doesn't hurt. Apologize. Practice forgiveness. Practice forgiveness. It doesn't hurt. It actually frees you. It makes you feel feel good inside. Doesn't matter what they did to you. It doesn't matter, because it's that they have to deal with that. And when you forgive people, you release yourself from that hurt. And be grateful. Be grateful for what we have. Everything, the fact that we can breathe today through a mask, where people are dying, they can't breathe. This inflammation is eating up their lungs. And so when you think about that, be grateful for the air that we have, for the family that we have, for the little things that we have. It doesn't matter. You may not have everything. And you know, I don't have everything. I'm very, very blessed in the sense that I get to do a lot of things, but I don't have a lot of things. I just, you know, I get a chance to do things because I feel that, you know, God allows me to do certain things, but He doesn't allow me to do everything. And so every time I try and do things, I do it with almost one hand tied behind my back. And that is my life. It is not easy. It's difficult. But, you know, it's what you make out of it.
Yes,
you know,
I totally agree.
So that's what gets me up in the morning. Yeah.
Wonderful chatting to you. I think we're running out of time, so we have to come to the end of this conversation. But just your closing words to our audience.
Like I said, you know what? Rest, refresh your soul, renew your spirit, be kind, be courteous, be grateful for what you have, and forgive. Have a heart of forgiveness. That's all it takes. You know, always remember it's what you have is better than what most people have.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Timothy from Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Thank you so much for the chat and being my guest on the show. I wish you everything of the best, and hopefully when I'm in Durban, we get to meet.
Yes, thank you very much. I really appreciate being on your show. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yes.